Hello everyone, welcome to the eighth session of the Journey Builder Fundamentals series. And we have covered all the out-of-the-box features of the Journey Builder in the past 7 sessions. And today we are going to look at the journey planning strategy and swarms. And journey strategy is something very important before we actually go ahead and create the journey. Before that, we need to plan perfectly for the journey and also create the strategy. So in today's session, Amy is going to cover all about the planning strategy and the swarms. So as always, the session is going to be recorded and posted on the YouTube channel at the rate NC Learning Camp. And if you have any questions, please post them in the chat window. And after this series, we will continue with the same schedule every Tuesday and Thursday. The deep dive sessions, we have 15 deep dive sessions lined up so far. We will be covering them at the same time, Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. And the hands-on sessions are also happening in parallel. That is on Wednesdays, 8 a.m. So if you have any questions, feedback, or any suggestions, please reach out to me in the Slack channel. If you're not at part of the Slack channel, please let me know. If you can share your email ID, I can add you there. And any questions, please post them here related to this session. Please post them in the chat. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Amy. Thank you for coming to our group and accepting to talk about the journey planning strategy and swarms. I will turn it over to you, Amy.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and good morning. Bright and early on a Tuesday after a holiday. So today we're going to talk about journey planning and strategy. And like she mentioned, it is very important for us to think through the strategy and what we're trying to accomplish before we just go into the product and build our journeys out. Starting with a non-fully flushed journey can be a bit of a hassle and cause a lot of rework later. So I know you guys have already learned a lot about journeys, but today we're going to focus primarily on how to plan and strategize around what your goals are. So this is just the schedule. Obviously, most of these sessions have already happened except for mine. And let me go here. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself first. I'm Amy. I work with Sercante. We are a partner with Salesforce. I'm a marketing automation strategist for Marketing Cloud. And a little bit about me, I'm a horse person. I have several horses that I like to show and ride regularly. This one in the photo is Neko. He's my boy. He's retired now, but he's my favorite. All right, so let's get started. For why journeys? Customers are expecting consistent and personalized experiences regardless of how they connect with your business. And that's very true, right? Customers are really looking for you to know them and know what they've been doing with your brand. Trying to make sure that we honor those choices that they've made and how they're interacting with us is really important. It solidifies that we are paying attention to them and know what they're looking for. It's up to us to coordinate those messages and touch points. And we like to make sure we do that at the right time, the right place, and through the right channel. With Marketing Cloud specifically, we have a lot of channel options, right? So obviously email is our primary channel that we use day to day. SMS is also a great option. A lot of people are moving toward the SMS route now. Since phones are so handy, they're always on our person. That's a really good channel to try to get to somebody immediately if needed. You can always go through the social media channels as well. If you are looking to post ads that get in front of people and are more of an image of your brand, then that is also a great channel to use. As far as right place and right time, that would be, again, on what device and at what time of day. Is this happening immediately after an action? Is it happening, weeks after an action? Hours? So these are the types of things that we're going to think about today and how we want to deliver the message to our customers. Customer expectations are higher than ever. I'd say that's super true, right? All of us are really expecting a lot from the brands that we interact with. We are wanting, 73% of customers are wanting the company to understand their unique needs and expectations. This could be anything from suggesting things that they've left in their cart or suggesting things that are similar to things that they've purchased. 78% of customers use multiple channels to start and complete a single transaction. I would say that that's probably very true. I know that I have received SMS communications and clicked through to the web to where I then put something in my cart. I receive an email, and later on, I might receive a coupon and continue that transaction, right? So making sure that we're hitting people through the multiple channels that we have available to us is very important. And 88% of customers say the experience as a company provides is as important as its products and services. I like to see personalization from companies. Blanket statement emails are not really something that grab your attention. If you are doing things that are more personalized, again, with those products that are interesting to people, with first name is always an easy one, right? If you have multiple locations and pulling in location information that is pertinent to the person, these are the types of things that people like to see to know that you're really paying attention. We find that a lot of organizations struggle to connect the dots across the entire customer experience. So what happens a lot of times is we're all busy, right? I mean, as marketers and for me as a consultant, we are busy. We come up with an idea, we execute on that idea, but then we never really take the time to perfect that or to go back and look at how it's performing. So something that we're going to focus on is getting from launch of a journey to how do we evaluate if that's really hitting our goals and our metrics, and are we optimizing that journey based on what we're seeing from the customers? Are we having a lot of drop-offs? Are we having people who are continuing through? If so, how can we improve that even more? So to meet buyer expectations, some of the best practices are, again, to be connected. So connecting all of the portions of your business, sales, service, marketing, commerce, your mobile apps, that is very important to make sure that everybody within your business knows what's going on with every other part of the business. But not only that, to make sure that the customer seamlessly flows from one to the other without there being like harsh lines in the sand, right? Where, okay, I was with sales, now I don't get any more communications. We want to make sure that service is now communicating that we've made a sale, or that marketing is now communicating what else could be pertinent to us, right? So it's important to flow through. If you have an app, push notifications, making sure that your app is customized to meet the buyer's expectations as well and their previous behaviors, also very important. Being targeted. So again, tailoring those experiences to the preferences and behaviors of the customer. Preferences are super important, especially in this day of over communication. So making sure that we're honoring and offering preferences to our customers to let them opt down or opt up, having frequency options, having timing options. All of these things are very important to make sure that the customer feels seen and not like you're just trying to herd them in a certain direction. And timeliness, responding to customers in the moment they need and want. Again, I kind of come back to the abandoned cart because that's a really good example that kind of covers a lot of facets of different companies. Making sure that if somebody abandons, are you sending them a message right away? Are you sending them a message, the next day? How soon are we reminding them? How soon are we reminding people of a transaction, right? So sending, their receipts through email or things of that nature. We need to think about the timing of that and how soon somebody's going to want that information. Remembering that customers are in control of their journeys, and sometimes it looks like this, which is a bit of a disaster, right? I mean, they're all over the place. They could be looking at your company from various platforms at various times, going back and forth. I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but I will lay in bed and just shop for things that I shouldn't be shopping for. And I might do that from various platforms depending on what I have received from them and what I'm seeing. If I see a Facebook ad, then I might go to their website. I might enter my email address, right? So there's so many different ways to hit people, and we need to make sure that we're trying to capture them where we can. All right. So at this point is where we're really going to start to dive into how to strategize and how to plan around the things that we've just talked about, around what buyers' expectations are and how we can define what our plan is going to be. So the first step is always to define the customer life cycle. Determine what that looks like for your business. It's different for everybody. Are you, how are you acquiring your leads or your customers? How are you making them aware of your brand? What happens after a purchase? Is there a service department? All of these things are a part of your customer life cycle, and we'll discuss that next. We're going to identify key customer moments. So these are the moments that matter to the customer. What are they doing or are you doing that is important to your brand and to your identification with them? And then lastly, we're going to learn how to map out the journey to match both of these things, our life cycle and those moments that we want to really hit and target for our customer. We won't be going into the actual platform today. We're just going to be doing all this from slides, but we will be showing you kind of an example journey as well, so you can see what that might look like. All right, so customer life cycle. This is the series of steps that your customer goes through during an interaction with your company. It concerns itself with all channels, touch points, systems, people, objects involved directly or indirectly with the interaction. So this is a very common life cycle. This is probably the most common one that we have on the screen right now, where it is awareness, making a person aware of your brand from a targeted ad, or, they might search you on Google. Who knows how they're finding you? It could be from a in-person encounter. We have acquisition, that is acquiring the customer. So getting them to make a purchase or sign on with your company in some way. Onboarding. This is what happens immediately after a person signs up with your company. So how are we treating them as a new customer? Are we making them feel welcome? Are we making them aware of the things that our brand offers that maybe they didn't know about before? Engaging. So this would be continuing to make sure that we are honoring those preferences and honoring the behaviors that the customer has taken with us, and growing. Depending on the brand and what you guys are doing, it could be something like upselling, right? Or selling service, or maybe you're even asking that person to become an ambassador for your company. So it really just depends on what your line of business is and what your goals are. And these are some more examples of different types of life cycles. They're all similar in a lot of ways, but they do each have their own little caveats, right? So conversion, converting a lead to a contact, if we're talking in the Salesforce ecosystem, right? So how are we converting this person from just a prospect to a fully blown customer? Are they making a purchase? Closing. So closing the deal, closing that opportunity. Are we serving them? Are we attempting to retain them? All of these things are along the same lines, just different wording for the same thing. So as you start to plan for your journeys, make sure that you're thinking, what are the steps that we're trying to take them through? What do we want them to do with us? Something that we like to talk a lot about here at Sercante is SMART goals. So making sure that our goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. This can be difficult to define, especially when you're first starting out trying to use something like a SMART goal. But the way to start with this is just to have a big overarching goal, right? So let's say our main goal is just to get a customer to make a purchase. Straightforward goal, right? That's what we want to achieve. Now we need to start trying to make that into a SMART goal. How are we going to be specific? So we want customers to make a purchase in the next 2 days. That's time bound. We want it to be relevant. We're going to try to get them to make a purchase based on information we have about them, something that they've purchased before. Attainable. We need to set a goal with a percentage. So we want 25% of customers to make that purchase. And again, measurable. We need to make sure that we have the data to be able to measure this goal as we go through our journey. So here is an example of this. The goal is to improve lead generation. And the SMART goal would be to increase MQLs by 10% in Q4, right? So that's our time-bound piece. That's our measurable piece. Do we feel that it's attainable? The attainability is going to be very driven by your business and your business goals. What have you seen in the past, right? So we don't want to just come out and say increase by 50% when that's never happened before. I mean, it is more likely that you're going to get 2 to 10% of a change from anything that you are doing. You can continue to iterate upon that and make it even more successful. But we want to make sure that we are not setting goals for ourselves that are too lofty and that the business is going to have trouble reaching regardless of what we do. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to go through an exercise of how to identify all of these pieces that we've talked about, the SMART goals, the moments that matter, and how we're going to map that in a journey. So I've come up with a little example here that we're going to kind of use as we continue to go through this presentation. My example is going to be a retailer for pet products. They want to onboard new customers and take them through a complete journey for their customer life cycle, right? Now, there are options for every business. I have seen where we will make one journey for the entire life cycle, where it is, acquiring, checking for purchases. We are trying to grow that person. We are trying to become an advocate, right? We have all of that in one big, long stretch of a journey. There's more likely going to be several journeys that are involved in this process, where you might have one journey that is sales related, right? Where you're taking those leads and trying to convert them. You would have another journey that is post-purchase, right? Or even just weekly journeys that are going out and trying to get purchases or sending newsletters. So decide for your business and for your skill set what is best for you and how you want to evaluate these things. If you are trying to do very intense messaging for each channel and for each portion of your journey, then you're going to really want to think about that and split that out. Maybe whiteboard it or, write it down on how you want each of these things to go so that you can make that decision on how you're going to build it later. Again, I've just defined these life cycle stages here on this slide so that you guys can see what options you have for these types of journeys that you're going to go through. All right, so first step is those SMART goals we just talked about. And we're going to try to define SMART goals by life cycle stage. Normally, I would have this be more of a workshop type piece here where we all kind of take some time to think about it on our own and come back together. But this is a large group and a limited amount of time. So we are just going to go through this as an example together. So let's say for the first stage of our life cycle journey is awareness. What are our goals for awareness? We want to increase monthly website traffic. Simple enough, right? We need to turn that into a SMART goal. Our SMART goal needs to be, again, measurable, time-bound, needs to be attainable. So we are going to increase the monthly website traffic by 10% by Q2. So we now know that our goal is to increase it by 10% specifically, and we need to do that by Q2. For the next stage, which is acquisition, our goals are to obviously acquire new customers. That's kind of our whole job as marketers, right? And increase our basket size. So we want people to purchase more from us. Our SMART goals here can be things like increase net new customer inquiries by 12% in Q2. So we have a measurable number of 12%. In Q4, is our time-bound piece. And we know that we want them to be net new customers, which is very different than existing customers. We want to increase net basket size by 6% by end of year. So we want to upsell. We want to sell more products. Onboarding. We're going to attempt to improve customer satisfaction and generate app downloads. This is a big one that I see with a lot of companies that do have an app for their customers. Trying to get that during onboarding is always the best time. It's when people are most responsive to your brand. We find that within the first few days, maybe a week of a person becoming a customer is when they're going to be most responsive to your messaging. So it's important to try to get them as involved with your brand as you can as quickly as possible. Not to say that you want to overstimulate or over message a person at that point in time, but try to make sure that your goals are in mind and you are including those in your initial messaging. So we want to drive a 10% decrease in customer service calls. So we want our customers to be happier. We want them to have that power and that knowledge up front. A lot of onboarding messaging can be, here are some documents that you can reference in regards to your product. Here are some videos about how to use the product, or other people interacting with our brand. And again, with the app downloads, so making sure that you are including that in your initial messaging. A lot of times in all messaging, the nice thing about Marketing Cloud and Journey Builder is that you can do dynamic content. So you can always say, if a person does not have the app, then let's present that to them in every message that we send. If they do have it, you can just remove that piece from your journey so that you are not communicating something that they've already done. Again, paying attention to a customer's behaviors and the information that you have about them. Engagement. The goals are to reactivate customers through improved personalization. Again, so that would be recommending products for them. That would be, even more things like videos, just things that are related to any data that you have on that person, whether that be location data or purchase data, browse data. If you are doing any sort of info capture, then use the data that you have there to drive your decisions. Improve service and delivery experience. So drive decrease in call center inquiries related to shipping and delivery by 9% by Q3. That's very specific, right? So we are trying to make sure that we are not having issues with our shipping and delivery. And lastly, we have retention. So this is the part I feel like where most companies start to really fall off is on the retention side. Our goals are to increase repeat purchases and increase brand loyalty. Again, it's harder for retention because customers are less interested in our product after that initial purchase, after that initial interaction with us. So we need to make sure that we are trying to still engage them and still bring them back to us over time. Some companies that I've worked with, their retention is so difficult because the next purchase somebody's going to make could be a year away, right? If you have something that's more of a renewal service, you have to try to engage those people for an entire year and retain them and get them to repeat that purchase a year later, sometimes 2 years later, right? So it's important to try to not over message them during that time, but still keep them aware of you. And doing loyalty, and especially if you're like a service organization, providing service on products, making sure that they are aware of those things throughout that time period are very important. If we want to generate loyalty signups, that's another thing you can do during the onboarding process. And then have a loyalty program that's ongoing for your retention process. Re-engagement is something that's not mentioned here. It's something that tends to come after retention. So if you've been unable to, quote unquote, retain that person, then you will want to do some sort of re-engagement process. Are you guys still able to see me? Because my screen seems to be frozen.
Hey, Amy.
There we go.
You
Are you
there?
guys?
Yeah,
So you guys are still able to see and hear me okay?
all good. It just froze for a little while, but it's all good now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still frozen on my screen, so I could not tell. All right. I will just continue without being able to see myself. All right. So our next piece after we determine all of those SMART goals is to determine what are our moments that matter. So we want to know now what moments are we looking at that we want to get to during our journey that go along with all of these life cycle stages and our SMART goals. So the first one of being aware. So having display ads that are running, right? Paid social ads running on Facebook, Twitter, whatever we want. Twitter, that makes me sound so old. But anyway, all of our social ads, we are searching for keywords, right? So if we have any sort of Google Analytics and SEO, that always helps us. We need to watch for website visits. So we need to have the ability to monitor our website and referrals. So if we are asking customers to refer other customers, it's a great way to discover new customers and to get new leads. Having any sort of info capture also helps, which kind of brings us to this acquire stage. We now know the customer is interested because they have submitted a form, they've abandoned a form, scheduled an appointment, attended an event, or downloads a white paper or another piece of documentation on your website. All of these things are highly trackable and are definitely things that you should be using to inject somebody into some sort of next step onboarding journey or attempting to get them to your onboarding journey, depending on your life cycle and how things for your company work. You can either go ahead and onboard them, or if you'd rather wait until they make a purchase, then keep them in that acquisition stage. Next, once we know that they've made a purchase, we now need to offer them more information about us. We're in that onboarding stage. We want them to download the app, schedule a follow-up, attend a training. We want to know if they submit their preferences or call our service center. So this is where we want all of our branches of business to kind of come together, right? So we want to know information about the service center. We want to know information about sales. We need to have our preference information available. If we have webinars or some sort of outside platform that's dealing with those webinars and trainings, we need to know that. This part And really the whole journey is all about data and collecting that data, making sure you have it available to yourself to make decisions, business decisions, make sure our metrics are lining up, and to make decisions during our journey.
I think we lost her. I don't see her here. Let's give a couple of minutes to see if she can join back. So in the meantime, anyone has any questions, let us know in the chat.
All right. Picking back up where we left off. We have some example moments that matter across that life cycle, right? So these are some examples of those moments that matter. We saw some on the previous slide, but these are even some more specific ones that we can look at. And take notes of these, right, for your business and what things you see your customers doing and what you know you can track. This is definitely a great idea slide of things that you could use to continue that relationship with your customers and put into journeys down the line. Again, website visits, tracking your website, very important. Following a social page, searching for keywords on Google, clicking through an ad, abandoning a search, and reading relevant content. So if you have blog posts or content elsewhere, you need to make sure that you're also tracking that information. Acquisition. So we're going to look at, did they put something in their cart? Did they make a wish list? Are they requesting information? Did they opt into our messaging? Obviously, that's something that we're going to take pretty highly. Set up an account, request a quote, attends an event, completes a purchase. So all of these things are trackable. And something that I want to mention is it's important from our perspective as marketers and as the people building these journeys. I feel like sometimes we look at our business and what we have available to us just as it is what it is. So, well, we don't have the ability to track our website. That may be true, but maybe we need to try to pursue that. Maybe we need to try to push to get the ability to track our website. We need to be able to make sure we're looking at if people are abandoning a cart, right? So things that we can really push our business to do that we don't necessarily have all the control over, but we need to try to pursue so that we can do our jobs better and make our journeys more effective as we move through this. Onboarding. So yeah, tracking of shipping and delivery is an excellent idea for onboarding. If you know somebody has just made a purchase, that's a great way to interact with them. Again, downloading an app, opting into additional channels, so text messaging, email. Some people even use WhatsApp, right? It just depends on what you are looking at through your journey. They register a product or they have a problem or a return. So things like problems and returns are very good, timely type communications where you can really try to regain that trust from that customer and make sure that you are interacting with them in a successful way for the issue that they're going through. Engagement, repeat visits, service appointments, marketing, messaging engagement. So this would be more like newsletters or ongoing communications that you have just to keep your customer base warm and informed about your brand. Retargeted ads and loyalty programs. And then retention. So again, if they haven't engaged in that loyalty program, they refer a person, they share you, they get credits somehow, review a product, share your content, engage in a community, or sign up for a subscription. All of those things are very good advocacy points where we can really tailor our communications now to this person being very involved in our brand. I am looking at the chat very briefly because I see there's been a question. So, a reasonable goal to set for engagement metrics. Yeah, so the percentage range that you're going to look at for your engagement metrics, I wish I had a very clear-cut answer for you. I just did a training the other day that was very similar, actually, where somebody asked the same question. Um, there's no perfect answer. It really is going to be up to your business and what you're seeing now, as far as what you hope to see in the future. So click-through rates growing by 18%, that's a lofty goal. Now, really depending, right? If you're moving from another platform over to Marketing Cloud, for example, and you have so much more power here now available in Marketing Cloud, there is definitely a chance for you to improve your click rates by that much. If it's existing messaging and you are just trying to tailor those communications, your goal is probably going to be quite a bit lower. There are lots of nice places you can go online that can give you more information about your specific line of business and what average click-through rates and open rates look like for each type of business. I know that I have referenced that in the past to kind of get some good examples of what would be an acceptable open rate for a hotel, right? Like what would be a good open rate for a retailer in general? Because certain things drive more click-through rates. If you are giving information on a product that's very pertinent, like for example, if they can get a rebate, right? Or if somebody's getting a coupon, you're going to expect much higher click-through rates on a coupon type email than you would on something that's just trying to upsell them after they've made a purchase. So you really have to consider what you're trying to do, what type of business you're in, what your current rates are, and try to make that goal attainable. You can start in small increments and then work your way up, rather than trying to set a really lofty goal of increase by 25%. Wish I had a better answer, but unfortunately, it's a very situational type of metric. All right. So some use cases for customer journeys, and these are really common customer journey use cases. Feel free, of course, to think outside the box. I love when I get communications that are not necessarily the average. And I love building journeys that are not necessarily the average. But these are some of the most important ones that we see for most lines of business. Your welcome campaign. That's your onboarding. That's going to be, we've got a new customer or lead, make them aware of our brand, right? I generally tend to do welcome campaigns in 3 messaging systems. That way I'm not overwhelming people, usually within the first week of them being acquired as a new lead or prospect. So a welcome campaign is something super easy. As soon as you start in Marketing Cloud, probably going to be the first type of journey you're going to want to start. You may already have something like this built in another platform, right? So just trying to use the power of Journey Builder to make that even more compelling and make sure that we aren't messaging people when they don't need to be messaged and we are hitting them at the right time, at the right place. Promotional campaigns. So this could be any sort of sale you have going on. An important thing to think about Journey Builder is it's not always going to be this long drawn out journey, right? We can use Journey Builder for single sends. They've made that really easy now with the single send feature. And we can use it for just massive journeys, right? I mean, you can just tailor it to whatever you need. If you are comfortable with Journey Builder, then definitely use it for your one-off sends. It's great for tracking. You can use it to look at behaviors and collect data on people as you go. So using it for promotional campaigns, even one-offs, is a great use case. Re-engagement campaigns, I mentioned that one. This is a very popular one as well. This is an important one to really think about those metrics and who you want to put in your re-engagement campaign. It's important to think, at what point is somebody going to be considered unengaged with your brand? I personally like to say no further out than 6 months from their last interaction with us. I would even go sometimes as soon as 3 months, 90 days, right? It really depends on your brand. Again, I have some brands that I work with that are service brands that are doing things years after the initial purchase. So for them, re-engagement looks a little bit different. It's something like a year and a half out from initial purchase, because now we know that they didn't get service from us or didn't renew their product. So now we need to re-engage them. So take a close look at your brand and what that customer life cycle length looks like before you decide who you're going to put in your re-engagement campaigns. I wouldn't do this too soon. You don't want to assume that people have fallen off too early in the cycle. Retention campaigns, this is going to be likely one-off sends for things like newsletters or other information, unless you guys have the ability to sit down and really think through good, engaging content that's going to last and not need to be changed often. You can always change emails in Journey Builder, but it is best to try to use that process for ongoing campaigns that are kind of set it and forget it. I'm going to say that and hate myself for it, but also you can iterate upon, right? And test and make even better along the way. So lastly would be automation updates. This is generally going to be things like company announcements, or if you've launched something, you've launched an app, or you are changing something with the app or your product and service. So those are also very important and can have multi-messaging. I've done internal communications, right? So Journey Builder is not just for external, and with customers, sometimes we're internally facing. So internal communications about a new 401k or a new insurance provider, right? So those types of things would be great for a Journey, because you need to message about different things at different times, right? You need to sign up for this at this time. Hey, you have 1 day left to sign up for this. Some of those great internal communication options as well. This is a lot of words on a screen. I'm not going to read them all, but this is another good reference slide for you guys of just some example journeys by the life cycle stages. And there's a lot here, right? So awareness, doing messaging and SMS messaging, having your paid social and your ads, all of these things can be put into a journey. I like to use email and SMS concurrently in journeys. I oftentimes make decisions. If you have been into the tool a little bit and you've been in some of these trainings, you know that we can make decisions on information we have on a person. So if I know that some people have email and SMS, some don't, I will make decisions on what they have and message them appropriately, right? So I will send an email and an SMS to a person who has both avenues and is opted in. That way we can target them in all the places that feel right for that communication. SMS might not be right for internal communications, right? Maybe it is, depending on the severity of the communication that you need to get across. Again, when we talk about these journeys, just make sure that we have the data to support it. And that's going to be coming up in the next couple slides talking about that data. Again, not going to read through these, but definitely reference this later if you need ideas for journeys. All right, now we're going to start talking about how to craft that journey and build this journey out. So we have 4 pillars. Who's our audience? What is our data? What content and what channel? All 4 of these things are very important to think about. And I do see customers skipping around a lot and missing some of these pieces when they're planning. So firstly, we need to identify our target audience. This seems like the easiest part, and it is to some extent. Who are you trying to message? Are you trying to message brand new customers? Are you trying to exclude anybody from your audience, right? Is there anybody who you don't want to message? If you use personas in your business, this is a great opportunity to try to hit specific personas. Where does this audience live? Do you have access to this audience? How are you going to get them into the system so that you can message them? Are you going to have them in the time that you want them, right? Is it something where you can get immediate access to that data, or is it going to be an ongoing load? These are all the things we need to think about. And how are they benefiting from this? Are we just putting them in a journey for the fun of it? Or are we actually, do we have a SMART goal in mind that we're trying to hit? I like to really sit down and think, okay, overarching, I want all new customers. Okay, well now, who's a new customer? Is a new customer somebody who we just acquired today? Is it somebody we acquired within the last week? What does that look like? Has that person made a purchase before, or have they not? Have they opted into a certain channel? I mean, we need to know exactly who you are targeting in order to make this successful. Data. This is the portion that I find most clients don't think through. You can come up with a persona, you can come up with an audience. You have to have the data to drive that audience. So you really need to know, if you want all new customers, do we have the data that says who's a new customer? Again, are we getting that audience in a timely manner? Are we importing it daily? Are we importing it hourly? Is it immediate? So we need to make sure that we have the audience. Do we have the data we need for our journey, for our emails, right? So if we want to put first name in our email, do we have it? Do we have the mobile numbers? Do we have, obviously, the email address? You'd be surprised how many times I have had a client not have email addresses in their data that they're trying to send to. So you just need to make sure that all your data pieces are existing. After we think about the audience data, we have to think about our journey data. Are there decisions we're trying to make during the journey? If so, what are those? And what data is going to drive those decisions? So if we want people to leave after they make a purchase, we need to make sure that we have that purchase data available to us. And it needs to be in a timely manner so that we can act on it. Same thing with if you're trying to share app download information, make sure that you have information on if the person has the app, right? We need to have all of these things and think through them before we build our journey. Otherwise, we're going to get going and then come to a stopping point because we realize we actually can't do what we were trying to do without finding this data somewhere. And then lastly, again, where is your data stored? Is it stored on the Marketing Cloud platform? Is it stored in your CRM? Where are we getting that information? This, to me, is the most important slide of this presentation, because data is very important and you can do nothing without good data. Content. So what content do I have? What do I need to build? And what kind of content does my customer base really like? So we can look at historical data and what we've done before that really performed well. We can, Google's your best friend. I don't even care. Google whatever you want to find good examples of compelling content and build out your content in that way. Try different things. A/B testing. Journey Builder is great for A/B testing. They have random split options. You can do engagement splits where you can choose which wins and send the remainder in that way. So there's really a lot of options when it comes to content and dynamic content within Marketing Cloud. So also think about that. What data can drive my dynamic pieces of content and really get to my customer in the way that I want. And channels. So how are we sending this content? Is it going to be an SMS message? Is it going to be a push notification, an email? How are we doing this for our customers? What do we have to use? What would we like to use? So always pursuing new avenues. That's one of our jobs as marketers, to identify where our customers are and what avenues they're going to respond to. All right, we're almost to the end, guys. Make sure if you do have questions before everything is over to put them in chat and I can answer those for you. The last piece we're going to do is go over an example journey and what this actually looks like in the Journey Builder platform. It's going to be simple, but I want to show you what all of this planning brings us to. This is an example birthday journey, which is very simple if you have birthday data on your customers. It's a good one to do to engage with them and get them, re-engaged with your brand. Our specific goal is going to be 20% of coupons that we send for our birthday customers are redeemed, right? I don't know about you guys, but personally, if you send me something with a coupon, I am almost guaranteed to go to your website and look at things because I feel like I'm getting a deal and I'm going to take advantage of it. So who is our audience? Whoever we have a birthday for, right? Pretty simple. That's an easy one to get. For this specific example, we're going to look at audience that has a birthday in the next week, specifically. What data do we need? We need the customer's birthday. We're going to want their first name so we can personalize. Last name, I could take it or leave it. I don't usually include last names in my emails. Email address, very obviously. For my example, we're also going to need mobile phone number if we have it for them. A coupon code. You can generate these codes within Marketing Cloud using something like SQL if you need to, or you can import them. There are external platforms as well that handle coupon codes. So making sure that you have those coupon codes and that data available to you, as well as knowing when a coupon has been redeemed. That's another important part of this equation. You need to know that that coupon has been used. And historical purchase data. That way you can sell to the customer based on what you already know about them. Again, personalizing the experience. What are our key calls to action? We're going to send one message in advance. We want to send a message a week before their birthday to say, hey, it's your birthday week. Here's your coupon. Make sure you use it. Send one on their birthday. Always nice. And you can do that with dynamic content, whether they've redeemed or not, right? So at this point, you could say, okay, they've already redeemed their coupon, but we could say, hey, happy birthday anyway. Congratulations on your purchase, right? And then a final reminder to those who haven't redeemed their coupon, maybe a week later or a couple days later, to say, hey, you still have that coupon out there. Make sure you use it before it expires. And what channels are we going to use? For my example, we're going to just use email and SMS. Those were the two that I find most companies are using more often. All right, so here is my very simple journey slide. But this is a good example of an easy journey that you can get going as long as you have the correct data. So we're going to look at customers who have a birthday in 1 week from today. Our data is going to be specific to that. So we're going to enter people on the 1 week prior day to their birthday. So this would be last Tuesday. We are immediately going to send them a message, and we are going to send them if we have it. Now, generally, I would split this out with a decision split on if they have email and SMS, email, or just SMS. I didn't have room on this slide. So just know that you don't want to try messaging people on both platforms if you don't have the data to support it, because you're going to just get a bunch of errors if you are trying to shoot somebody an SMS and you don't have a mobile number for them. So best to try to tailor your journey splits to that. But for this example, we have mobile and email for everybody because we are awesome like that. We are immediately going to send them this message saying, hey, we heard you have a birthday coming up. Our CTA can be different for both, right? So get my birthday discount, and you can autofill on the website with that coupon code for them in your cart, or you can present that coupon code to them in the email. Completely up to you how you do that. I like to do something that prompts them to click, right? So that you can really measure that goal of how many people are clicking through from your email. So make sure that if you are giving them that coupon code, you're also prompting them to click somewhere on your email to go through to your website or make a call or whatever it may be. Because you can use buttons to, prompt a phone call. For SMS, I would suggest using a keyword, right? So we will have a keyword that we can track so that we know that we are meeting our goal for this campaign. Again, you might want to use randomized codes for your coupons just so that people can't try to reuse them later. I just did an example of birthday 1 because it was easy for me. In situations like this, I like to use a wait until attribute rather than a wait a certain amount of time. Waiting until allows you to really tailor this to the person's birthday. Generally, it's going to be a week out because of who we put in here. But for safety purposes, let's just do a wait until. So at that point, we're now going to send them the happy birthday message and say, hey, it's your birthday. Like I said before, I would think dynamic content would come very much in handy here so that you could message them, hey, don't forget about your discount. Or you could message them that you're glad that they used their discount and happy birthday. Thank you for being a loyal customer. That's harder to do with SMS. You would likely need to split your SMS message off in order to kind of change that messaging. You can do it, but it's up to you how you treat the SMS at that point. Next thing we'll do is a coupon redeemed decision split. You could do this with an exit as well, or a goal criteria. However, that could potentially exit the people before their birthday message. So I would suggest doing a decision split here. And at that point, we say, have they redeemed it? If so, okay, they don't need to get message from us again. If they have not redeemed their coupon, then we want to send them one more. I should have put a wait step in here, I realize now. Sorry for missing that. We're going to want to wait a little while before we make this choice. I would say to send this 3 days after their birthday or something of that nature. Usually 2 to 3 days between messaging so that you can wait for responses and not bombarding people. So we would wait 3 days and then send our last communication of make sure you use your code before it's gone. Like today's your last day, or you have so many more days to use your coupon. Again, we have that goal of 25% are using their coupon. So if we see that we're only getting 5% of redemptions from this journey, we're going to want to take a look at a lot of different things, right? Let's look at our timing. Are we sending our communications at a time that is best for our organization and our customers? You can really look at that from like open rates and dates. So if we know when people are opening generally, how many days after our communication is that? We can use that to make decisions. Are people clicking into our emails? Can we improve our subject lines? Is there something more catchy we could use in that subject line to get more opens? Inside the email, is there content that needs changed? Where are people clicking most often? Really look at those clicks and in tracking, you have that image of the email, see where people are clicking and use that to make decisions on should we move the area we want them to click higher? Should we make it more visible? Should we give more options for people to click on? Maybe our email is not personalized enough, right? Should we add more personalization? Should we add things that they can buy from the email? All of these different things you can test. And again, you can do testing directly in your journey if you have two emails that you would like to test against one another. Always best to be iterating upon existing journeys. And like I mentioned much earlier in the slides, that's something that a lot of customers of mine, when I say customers, I mean, companies, tend to miss out on. We get busy. We have other things we have to do. So when you find that you have the time, really look at those metrics and try to improve and iterate upon those journeys that you've built based on the data that you're seeing, based upon business changes. Make sure if you change your brand guidelines that you are changing your emails. Make sure you are updating with new and important information. If you get an app, you're adding that to all your journeys. If you, have a new sale, you can add that as a dynamic piece. There's stuff that you're going to want to do to try to make your emails and your SMS, every channel, as compelling as possible, and to keep those channels connected. That's something that's also very important, making sure that you're not showing different information across your channels, trying to really tailor that experience. So that is the end of my slide deck. If anybody has any questions about anything we talked about, then feel free. I think we have about 10 minutes left on this Zoom, so feel free to ask any questions if you have them.
Thanks very much, Amy, for covering everything in detail. So I think you covered some of the questions in between. I don't see any other questions. Everyone, if you have any questions, please post them. So I see one question here.
Yes. So let me read through this. We're talking about forward to a friend. So I find forward to a friend to be interesting. I've had clients use it. So I would say it is good in newsletters, right? So it's worth a shot. Let's put it that way. You can add the forward to a friend option without, though, without having an option for that friend to then take an action. It's a little bit useless because we do need that person's consent to message them. We can't really do much from there. Yeah, that's really, sorry, I'm like trying to think through this. That's really a business practice decision. I personally don't put it in emails that I build or create for my clients, but I have seen clients using it. So I would just say proceed with caution because you don't know how engaged that person's going to be. And it could really drive down your engagement if you try to reach out to them. It could drive down your metrics a lot unless you have a specific avenue or journey that you are attempting to contact those forward to a friend type subscribers. But it's worth a shot if it's something that you want to try. I know, again, blanket answer.
Thanks, Amy. I think that is it for now, Amy. I don't see any other questions.
All right. Well, I really appreciate everybody being here. And this was really good for me. I enjoyed it. So I hope I can do more of these with you guys, the community groups.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amy. So we really appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge. So if you can share the slides, Amy, I will add them to the video.
Would you like me to share them in chat or would you like me to share them to you directly?
If you can share it to me directly, I can save it in a drive and then share that location.
Sounds good. We'll get those sent out to everybody.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks very much, everyone. I think we can call it a wrap. We'll see you again tomorrow, the same time, 8 a.m. for the hands-on session. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.